Your calendar says you had a full day of meetings. Your to-do list says you did nothing. That is not a time problem. It is a design problem. Every meeting steals twice. The hour on the calendar, plus the hidden hour before it. The reread, the context switch, the what are we even deciding scramble. Then somehow the decision still slips, work waits for permission, and you walk out tired, not finished. If a meeting cannot earn its cost, it is not collaboration. It is a tax. Treat scheduling like triage, not tradition. Moving to slide 2. Before you schedule anything, triage it. Start with intent, not a time slot. Ask, what is this interaction supposed to produce by the end? Then, force one of 3 outcomes. Kill it if there is no clear output. Keep it if the output truly requires live discussion. Replace it if the output can be achieved without everyone showing up at the same time. Make async the default. A short written brief, a shared doc with comments, a 2-minute update, a decision proposal with a deadline. Meetings do not get assumed. They earn permission by being the best tool for the job. If you cannot name the output, you do not book the room. You change the question to what will actually change after we talk. Moving to slide 3. Use one filter first. What changes because we meet? If nothing changes, it is not a meeting. It is a habit. A real meeting changes one of a few things. A decision gets made with trade-offs accepted. An uncertain situation gets clearer enough to act. A brainstorm produces options you will actually test. Risk gets reduced because the right people surfaced assumptions. Commitments get stated out loud, with an owner and a deadline. A blocker gets removed, so work can move today, not next week. Or the relationship itself needs maintenance, because trust is becoming a bottleneck. If you cannot point to one of those changes, push it into an update, a message thread, or a doc. When you can name the change, you can also spot the meetings that deserve to die. Moving to slide 4. Kill status meetings that do not produce decisions. If the agenda is people reading bullet points at each other, cancel it and require written updates instead. You will get the same information with less performance and more clarity. Kill recurring meetings with stale agendas. If the calendar invite does not evolve, it is a loop, not a tool. Put an expiration date on every recurring meeting, even if it is only 4 weeks. No agenda, no meeting. Kill meetings where the same topic returns with no motion. That usually means nobody owns the next step, or the decision criteria are missing. Fix that outside the meeting. Assign an owner, define what done means, and come back only when a decision is possible. Kill meetings where attendance keeps growing. Growth is a smell. It means the meeting is being used as a broadcast channel or a safety blanket. Replace it with a clear written artifact and invite only decision makers. Kill low-stakes, high-time discussions. If the downside is small, decide quickly in writing and move on. Your calendar should reflect your priorities, not your anxiety. Save lifetime for moments that actually move the work. Moving to slide 5. Keep meetings that create fast decisions with real trade-offs. If you need a yes or no with consequences, live discussion can compress days of back and forth into 15 minutes, but only if you show up with a written proposal, options, and the decision rule. Who decides, by when, and what input matters. Keep meetings when risk is high and clarity is low. That is when misunderstandings are expensive. Bring the smallest set of people who can spot failure modes, align on assumptions, and agree on a safe next step. Keep meetings where conflict needs resolution. If tension is leaking into email and chat, you need tone, nuance, and real-time repair. The goal is not consensus. It is a workable agreement and a clear commitment. Keep meetings for cross-team dependency negotiation. When timelines collide, you need the teams in the same moment to trade scope, sequence, or support. Keep sensitive feedback conversations live. High emotion and high trust do not belong in a thread. Use meetings as precision tools, then push everything else into AI-driven updates. Moving to slide 6. If your week includes writing the same update 3 different ways, you are paying a tax you do not need to pay. Replace those hand-built updates with AI-generated versions that pull from what already exists. Start with progress summaries for leaders. Give AI your project doc, tickets, and the last update. Then ask for a 5-bullet executive snapshot, plus what changed since last week. For weekly project health, have it output a simple status line, timeline drift, scope changes, and a 1-sentence forecast. For decision logs, feed meeting notes and threads, and prompt it to extract the decision, the options considered, the rationale, and the owner. That rationale is what prevents the same argument from resurfacing. Then generate an asks and blockers list that is written for the receiver, not for you. Who needs to do what, by when, and what context link proves the request is real. Finally, risks and mitigations. Make AI list top risks, leading indicators, and the next mitigation step, with an owner. When your updates are structured like this, meetings stop being your only source of clarity. Moving to slide 7. Before you schedule anything, run a quick decision tree. First question. Is a decision required? If no, do not meet. Ship an async update with a clear ask for comments. If yes, ask whether real-time debate is required. You need live time when people must challenge assumptions, negotiate trade-offs, or converge on one option under pressure. If it is mostly reporting, keep it async. Next, is information incomplete? If key facts are missing, a meeting becomes noise. Assign owners to fill the gaps, set a deadline, then regroup only if the decision still needs live debate. Then, is trust at stake? If the topic is sensitive, political, or involves accountability, real-time is often faster and safer. But keep the invite list small and include the people who can actually say yes. Finally, can async meet the intent? If a doc with a comment window can produce the same decision, choose that. Your calendar should only host conversations that cannot happen any other way, and every one of those conversations should end with tangible outputs. Moving to slide 8. Anytime you do meet, you only leave the room with 4 things. A decision with a named owner, commitments with deadlines, an open questions list, assigned or parked with a date to revisit, and next steps written down, with the shared artifact updated before people context switch. If you cannot produce those, you did not have a meeting. Moving to slide 9. Async only works when it is easier to consume than a meeting. That starts with one template, every time. No creative writing. People should recognize the shape in 2 seconds. Keep it to 3 sections only. Wins, risks, asks. Wins are outcomes, not activity. 1 sentence per win, plus a link to evidence like a PR, a ticket, a spec, or a dashboard. Risks are not vibes. State the risk, the impact, the leading signal, and what you are doing next. Asks are specific. Who you need, what you need, the decision or action required, and the due date. Then add links to evidence, not screenshots or pasted walls of text. If the evidence is messy, fix the artifact instead of compensating in the update. Finally, timebox the review window. Tell people exactly when comments close and what silence means. For example, no response by Thursday noon equals approval. When your updates follow this pattern, you create predictable cadence without dragging everyone into calls, and it becomes obvious where AI can help without creating confusion. Moving to slide 10. AI fits cleanly where the work is already written down and you need it reshaped. Start by summarizing project artifacts. Feed it your spec, roadmap, key tickets, and recent notes, and ask for a short brief tailored to executives or to your delivery team. Have it draft the weekly stakeholder brief using your wins, risks, asks template, but only after you provide the source links. Your rule is simple. AI can write the update, but it cannot be the only place the truth lives. Use it to extract decisions and owners from messy notes and chat logs, then paste the result into your decision log for verification. Ask it to flag risks and dependencies by scanning for phrases like waiting on, blocked by, unclear owner, or pending approval. Then you confirm and assign. Finally, generate an agenda from gaps. Prompt it to list unresolved questions, missing inputs, and decisions approaching a deadline. Then turn that into a tight meeting purpose if you truly need one. Used this way, AI reduces your coordination load without turning your updates into fiction. Moving to slide 11. Avoid AI update traps by treating every generated status note as a draft, not a fact. The biggest risk is hallucinated certainty. An assistant can sound confident while quietly inventing dates, owners, or blockers, and that can ripple into real decisions. So require claims to be checkable. If it cannot point to a ticket, doc, or message, it stays a hypothesis. Next is sensitive data leakage. If you paste customer names, contract terms, incident details, or unreleased numbers into a tool without the right controls, you may be exporting it forever. Use redaction. Use internal, approved models for anything confidential. When in doubt, summarize the category, not the content. Also, watch over summarized nuance. Updates are where risk and trade-offs live, and compression can erase the one sentence that changes the decision. Ask for assumptions, open questions, and what would change the answer. Finally, no source links means no accountability chain. Every update needs a trace back to an owner and a source, so the team can act with confidence and keep the room focused. Moving to slide 12, run the meeting reset by clearing space first. Pull a list of recurring invites for the next month and audit them. Then assign each meeting to a bin. Keep, fix, replace with async, or kill. Replace 2 meetings per week with a written update or a quick decision thread. For the meetings that survive, shorten them by default and publish the new cadence so nobody has to guess where updates belong. Moving to slide 13. Protect the new default with simple rules you can enforce. No agenda, no meeting. Pre-read is required, or the meeting becomes async. Name a decision owner at the start, so discussion has a landing spot. End with written outcomes, what was decided, who owns what, and by when. Then do a quarterly triage to remove meetings that quietly grew back. If you want more scripts like this, subscribe. In the comments, tell me which meeting you are deleting first. Technology changes fast. Great systems last.